good morning, good evening, and wherever the sun may find you. My name is Walt, and this is Coffee and Concepts on Keystroke Medium. This morning, we have a really special guest. I'm very excited to have him on, just because I'm going to screen capture this so I can model my own beard after his own. We have Christopher Hopper. How are you, sir?
Good morning. I'm great, thanks. How are you doing?
William, I just got out of work, so I'm trying to caffeinate to stay up with you.
Right.
William Joseph Roberts from YouTube saying, there he is. I was starting to wonder. I had some hiccups with the stream last night. I hit a button way too soon, which is what my wife says is 90% of my problem. So how are you today?
I'm great. It's a kind of frosty morning here in northern New York, and I'm feeling fall right now. I'm feeling
Yeah,
fall.
right on.
I got the pullover on, so waiting for the leaves to change.
What's the temperature out there right now?
We are at a balmy 40 degrees at the moment.
Yeah, I'm slightly below you. I'm like two
Really?
apartments down, and I'm at 52 degrees. So
Okay.
yeah, it's a little weird to go from like 70 all the way to 52. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna put my old people sweater on and just yell at people to get off my lawn or bring me coffee. So speaking of which, do you have a favorite type of coffee that you enjoy?
Ooh, I would say I really like single origin coffees the most, and I'll tell you, I stay away from anything too bright. I'm not a
So
big
no light roast
citrus
for you?
fan. Yeah, I'm more like I want to taste chocolate and oats and stay in that the darker category if possible.
So less caffeine, more bang on your tongue.
Yeah, there it is.
Right on.
Which is
Right on.
it's why I like Lagavulin and stouts too. So I don't know. I think there's a theme there.
There you go. Now we were talking before we went live on the interwebs, and you have a couple of favorite roasters that you enjoy. First one being
Hey,
Copper Horse Coffee.
yeah,
So
they're
they have
out of
they have pretty
Ithaca,
good
New York.
selection. They're out of
They
Ithaca.
do. Yep, Ithaca, New York, which is where I'm from originally. And this guy I graduated high school with, Jesse Harriet, and he's been working really hard at this. Loves small batch roasting, has some pretty incredible clientele. But he had like the #1 espresso bean in the country a couple of years ago, and just does incredible work. So, I mean, we've tried them all, love them all. It's one of those things too, well, as you know, like when you move away from Folgers and actually try something that is an art made by an artisan, it takes it to a whole other level.
Well, then it
So
goes into
highly
that whole,
recommended.
that whole single origin thing, because when you got something like Folgers where they're taking beans from multiple sources. Same thing with like chain stores like Dunkin' Donuts, where it's
Hmm.
like where it's highly processed, very acidic. You got that guy with coming in with the accent. Yeah, give me 25 munchkins and I'll take some. Give me that coffee. You know, the whole reason for all that donut cake going down your pie hole is because you're trying to soak up some of that acid so you don't have acid reflux by 10 o'clock in the morning.
There it is. Hey, well, I need to interject. When are you starting your career as a voiceover actor?
It's already happening. So the pandemic has really put like a series of breaks, a set of breaks on all of it, because everybody's home mowing their lawn, yelling at their kids, walking their dogs. And there's only so much soundproofing you can actually do to a residence before somebody is like, hey, bro, you building a bomb shelter? Do you
Yeah,
even think,
exactly.
bro? So I did a book for Tim Taylor
Awesome.
in his Human Empire series, and now we're just waiting on the pickups. Though, like I said, but the problem is when the pandemic hit, it was like you couldn't get a clean sound out of anywhere. So, and if you have a really really good microphone, it picks up everything. And I mean, you can go back later and filter out. It's just it can be difficult. So, but like Mom said, I have a face for radio. So we'll keep chasing that dream and see what happens.
I'm digging the accents. So,
well, I try. The only thing I try and stay away from is the Peruvian accent, because they have a slight hint of an Indian dialect when they speak, and I screw it up every time. And I have friends who are from there, and they just laugh. Oh, you're so funny, and I'm like, yeah, you're not seeing me, but I'm flipping you off. But yeah, so you were saying that Copper Horse Coffee, they travel out and get to go to places like Sumatra, Guatemala, Mexico, places like that.
Yeah, and that's actually the next one I gave you, that we were talking about, Building 3. It's a husband and wife team out of Colorado Springs, and they travel extensively. They're he was a Halo instructor in the Army, and when he
Dirt
got
Dart.
out, he and his yeah yeah he and his wife wanted to do something different to serve the community, and really had a passion for, again, small batch roasting, and so they get to travel. They go to all of their locations. So if you're drinking this coffee, they have sat with the families, and do their contracts right there, uh, boots on the ground, and this is what you're drinking, and it's just exquisite coffee. So Building 3, yeah, really like them.
That's pretty cool. I always loved going to like different places, and I'm kind of geeking out right now because they have a Nicaraguan coffee.
Mm.
And some of the best coffee I'd ever had was from a guy who sold it to us on the side of the road. Like a giant wok, was mashing it in the wok, pouring water, and we're like, do you like pick these every day, every morning? And we had a translator because we were pretty deep. Um, and the Spanish they were speaking wasn't the Spanish that we knew, so it
Wow.
was
Wow.
and we talked to the translator that we had, and they were like, "Oh yeah, he goes to the plantation every morning and steals a batch full of." We're like, "Wait, what?" They're like, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. He's not part of the plantation. He's stealing the beans and bringing them here and mashing them on the side of the road."
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was good coffee, but we were like, "Are we gonna have to run? This is gonna
I
suck."
think that makes it taste a little better. That
Yeah,
hint
absolutely.
of larceny makes it a little bit
Yeah,
sweeter. So
that's that whole ask for forgiveness thing. But
right.
yeah, they poured it into some metal cups that looked like the entire village had
Oh
drank
my
from them, and
goodness.
we're like, hey, well, when in Rome. But yeah, yeah, great. I love the taste of when you get into places.
Mm,
Tasting those different things like in Midland South America, you get those like chocolate notes and stuff like that.
mm,
You go to like the South East Asian, and you get that like floral nuttiness, or like Ethiopian especially. You get that hint of blueberry. The first time I ever had
mm.
an Ethiopian coffee, I'm like, whoa, all right, who slipped the candy in my coffee? So yeah, that's pretty cool. Do you
Awesome.
order out a lot, or do you have someplace local where you just pick up some of this stuff?
Unfortunately, of all I love where we live. It's an amazing part of the country in the Thousand Islands. However, I'm sad to say that there are no local roasteries that we enjoy. And I think that's the kindest way to say it.
Yeah. We
So,
have Jonathan Bliss saying, "Good morning, gentlemen. I am introducing my first period students with my favorite local writer this morning while I am drinking my second cup of coffee."
right. That's
Cheers.
awesome. Right on. John
That's
Bliss and
fantastic.
students, good morning. Thanks for watching.
And now
Very
I have to
cool.
really watch myself that I don't use my PhD in profanity. So, but Josh Hayes, who is the boss of bosses, the capo tutti capo of Keystroke Medium, has been announcing recently that he's getting into the coffee business himself.
Is he really? That's
Yes,
awesome.
in
Good for
fact,
him.
he's brewing right
Like he
now.
needs another thing.
Yeah, he doesn't sleep. He knows the deal. But yeah, so look for
Is
Keystroke
that
Medium Roast as soon as it comes out.
all right? There it is. I saw that ad. I think it was yesterday. I'm like, wait, Keystroke's getting their own coffee. This is great.
Oh, I'm
So
so excited. I'm so excited. And speaking of excited, um, so about what was it, like a year ago or so? It was a little over a year. We had talked, and I remember that talk because I was on vacation, and it was like during the day, so I was actually able to have a conversation like a civilized human being. And you were like, "Hey, I'd like some military tips and hints." And we got
Mm,
into Ruins of the Galaxy, and
mm,
now you're up to 9 books in that series.
correct. Yeah, the flagship
Nine,
series is 9 total.
9 books, and um, we get Magnus and his wacky adventures in the oh god, my brother from down under, Ingram Matt.
Nice.
If you haven't,
G'day, Mike.
yeah, if you haven't caught him on Twitch, oh my god, it is a rocking good time. So,
Awesome.
um, but yeah, so you had you got your series, started pushing it out, and it got a following, and now it's a pretty big deal out there. Can you tell us what that was like to kind of get on that ride to where you were writing every day to all of a sudden you're like, I am an author.
Well, I'm still working on that very posh accent. Yeah, this whole series, all of the Ruins of the Galaxy and Ruins of the Earth started as kind of the answer to a midlife crisis, which was, I need to do something different. And not that what I had done previously was bad. I think a lot of times we feel like we have to vilify the last thing in order to justify the current thing, and that's just not the case. By the way, I think that makes us look really stupid when we do that, because what we were saying is, wow, we're idiot for a really long time, which I guess you could be, but hopefully, hopefully not. And I just needed to change. And I recognized that one of the things I always wanted to do was write. It wasn't always the most viable thing, and didn't realize I could make a living at it. And that's the dream, right? I mean, for us who are writers, can I do this full time? And so just decided, you know what? The only way I'm going to find out if I can do this, if I have what it takes, is to try. And I made a kind of a contract with my wife and our 4 kids, and I said, all right, Dad's going to be AWOL for six months, and I'm going to give this everything I have and work a full-time job. So it was doing 90 to 100-hour work weeks for 6 months, which I don't recommend. Well, you seem to thrive on it. It's amazing.
Yes,
But
caffeine and hate.
there it is. But in that period, I was like, all right, if I can't make this happen, then it's a sign from the universe that I need to do something else. And so started writing the first 3 books in Ruins of the Galaxy. And that's about the time you and I talked, because I'm like, man, I think I want to write military science fiction, but I lean more towards space opera. At least I did at that point. And I don't think I know enough to write intelligently about this. And so our conversations were really pivotal, and our text messages were extremely helpful. More showing me, not the little that I did know that was accurate, but the whole lot I didn't know, that I needed to have some blanks filled in. And so I credit you in a huge way, Walt, for pushing that ball down, getting the ball rolling in that direction. And then when I eventually partnered up with J.N. Chaney and Variant Publications, that was like the catalyst that really just made the plane take off. It had been 6 months of real hard work, learning about self-publishing, indie publishing, and I had been traditionally published before. It wasn't something I was looking to go back into if I couldn't
It was
make
a
this.
fantasy series, right?
Yeah, actually, let's see. There are seven books in 3 different series that went out, and at one point was signed with HarperCollins. Um, Enjoyed the process, learned a lot, but for people who are watching and saying, "Man, I really want to go legacy." If you have the skill set or access to people with the skill set to help you launch your own book, I'd say don't do it. Run, like, other direction all the way. There are very specific cases where I think it's a viable option that people need to pursue, but for the most part, it's just not. That's a different show. Anyway, all that to say, yeah, July of last year, we repackaged, re-edited, put a new cover on Ruins of the Galaxy 1. And then it was off to the races. Just didn't realize we had a hit on our hands. And then so all 9 books have been completed there, and now we're launching into the prequels with Ruins of the Earth, and had a ridiculously crazy launch day on Sunday, which people who are watching who helped buy it and review it, man, thank you so much. Just incredible, like blew our expectations in a major way.
So, what was it in your series, in the first series, right? And like I said, we were talking originally before the stream went live, and you always have that legacy moment for Star Wars, where, like we were saying, you get Alec Guinness saying, hey, I served with your dad in the Clone Wars, and then fast forward like 10, 15 years from that speech in the starship, and now you have 3 more movies. What was it in Ruins of the Galaxy that sparked Ruins of the Earth?
That's a great question. So this is a very interesting answer. It is not so much the connection that was explicit, but the one that was implicit. In that, the origins of humanity are not mentioned anywhere. The Earth is not mentioned anywhere. And so it's this sense of, okay, this is a cool story, but you filled in a lot of backstory, and it's 9 books, so there's a lot of intel in that. But where did this all come from? And so it became this glaring, hey, we need to fill in this piece. And to be honest with you, we kind of stumbled upon it because I had originally written Ruins of the Galaxy to exist outside of Earth's universe. In other words, the one that you and I know here this morning. I didn't want there to be any connection. And that kind of was a reflection of my own life at the moment when I created this. Is I was trying to create distance between who I'd been and who I wanted to be. And so, if you will, a little bit of an existential personification. It just existed, right? And then as we started to think through it, and I was working with our alpha readers, and like, you know what, this is actually a really cool story. The fact that we haven't talked about Earth is almost taboo. Like there's something we shouldn't touch. Let's touch it. Like you said, push that button a little too
Push
early.
that button.
And then it just, from there, it was like, wait, if Earth is taboo, why? And that became Ruins of the Earth.
Right on. Right on. So what was it like to tap into that? Because this one starts with a Marsoc Marine, and who's sounding like he's getting ready to retire. Did you get to tap into any of the Marsoc guys?
Yeah. So this is the cool part for me, which was I recognized right away that I really wanted this to be more military science fiction than space opera science fiction. And to do that, something that J.R. Hanley once said to me about Tom Clancy didn't serve. I haven't served. However, Tom Clancy was a fan of his local library. By the way, those are things that used to exist, I guess, a long time ago. Physical books, which is mind blowing. Anyway, the point there was I needed to find out what I didn't know. And the only way I was going to do that was surrounding myself with people better than myself and people who had served. And so in this alpha group, and they will remain nameless at the moment, but they know who they are. And I'm so grateful to them. More than half of them are all vets, a few still active duty. One in particular is deployed in Kuwait at the moment, which has been really cool to watch.
We try not to judge.
Yeah, that's right. So all these guys anyway began to speak to the storyline, and I gave them carte blanche in the Google Docs online. Like, guys, you can say anything, just have at it. I want this to be your book as much as it is my book. And so mostly, yeah, we have Marine Corps, United States Army. One guy in particular ended up serving in both. He's a combat engineer and he lives locally. Just a couple weeks ago, had a 3-hour conversation, impromptu, on our front porch that blew my mind. And again, so grateful for hearing these guys' stories and them being so generous with their experiences, with everything from tactics and language to just culture that we tried to distill and synthesize and put into Ruins of the Earth. It starts, actually, the prologue starts in 2004 in Iraq, and it is a synthesis, I'll say, of real life events that we fictionalized and made our own. But I mean, it puts you right in the action, and again, it wouldn't have happened without these guys.
Yeah, I tried to link up some writer friends with one of the guys I train with in jiu-jitsu is a
Mm,
Marsoc Marine. And
wow.
and I was like, hey, I got these author friends who would love to talk to you and kind of validate some of the stuff they're writing. And he's like, bro, I'd love to, but you know the saying. And I was like, oh, don't be that guy. And he said, yeah, man, snitches get stitches. And I'm like, you know the deal. And I'm like, yeah, but I mean, you can still, you can kind of give people the flavor without being named. And he's like, they're going to have to come on the mat to get it out of me. I'm like, I don't know. Doubt anybody's going
Wow.
to take a plane ride just to wrestle you there, bro.
That's intense. That's intense.
Yeah. But he's a cool dude, and he's deployed more times than I think I've had tacos, and I've eaten a
Wow.
lot of tacos. Um,
Wow.
so with Ruins of the Earth, the first one, can you give us the kind of simple elevator pitch on where we're going with this?
Sure. So Wick, white Irish Catholic, Patrick Finnegan, is just a few weeks away from retirement. And all he wants to do is get to his cabin in the woods in rural Pennsylvania and just be done. He does a favor for a friend that it was his childhood buddy, and it is to basically work security, but as doing some cold weather field training in Antarctica, which kind of like he knows he's getting involved with something that's cringy, we'll say, but doesn't realize how cringy it is until he shows up and sees this massive alien artifact that is in the Ellsworth subglacial highlands in Antarctica, a real place, by the way, where real excavation is being done. And he's just not ready for what's about to happen. So that's the pitch.
Now here's the thing, and I will buy your technical experts a cup of coffee if this is a thing.
Okay.
Did you mention in your book, because of the cold weather aspect, Petawawa?
I did not mention Petawawa.
Do you know what it is?
I don't know what Petawawa is.
So we have an agreement with the Canadian government. Um,
Okay.
they use our airborne school, and in return, we use their cold weather winter warfare school in Petawawa, Canada.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So
intense. I did not know that.
yeah, if you're going to do any cold weather training at all, you usually start off there, and then there are levels above that where you can train. But yeah, getting that in brief from a Canadian corporal, which is more akin to like a sergeant on our side, it was a thing of beauty.
That's amazing.
Until you went outside and realized that it's 20 below zero Fahrenheit, and if you don't move, you freeze to death. So
There it is. I had an aunt in the Air Force stationed in Iceland, and I remember
right
asking
on.
her because she was telling me one of when she was there, it was something ungodly, like minus 60, minus 65. And I remember asking her, okay, what does that feel like? Because northern New York, I mean, the coldest we've had it here at our house is minus 40. And our
Oh, right
horses
on.
were looking at us like, we're going to kill you now. So I'm like, but what does minus 65 feel like? And she goes, well, actually, you start to, it's not so much about what it, it's not this sense of I'm cold. It's just how quickly things stop working. And I thought that's a great explanation, how quickly things stop working. Yeah, that's cold.
Hell yeah. So we have Ruins of the Earth. Is there going to be Ruins of the Earth Part 2 Electric Boogaloo, or what's next?
Hey, we didn't want to release the title right away, Walt. So if you can we
I'm just a really
redact
good
that?
guess. Yeah, we'll fix it in post.
There it is. Yeah. So right now, the Ruins of the Earth series. The next book is Gods and Men, and that comes out in November.
Right on.
We've this has been an interesting series because whereas with Ruins of the Galaxy, I knew it was going to be about 9 books. This one we've kind of left open ended, simply because there is, spoiler alert, there are 4,000 years of time between this prequel series and the flagship series. So that's a lot of years. Therefore, a lot of stories that could be told and a lot of content. How many of those will be situated around Earth? Yet to be determined. I suspect it'll be another 9-book series. But we've left this one more up to the audience, which is, hey, if you love the books and you love the characters specifically, then we'll keep writing them up to about 9. For me, once a series leaves 3 trilogies, it kind of loses some of its je ne sais quoi. And that's where I go, it should have just been put out to pasture. So it's kind of like and not, I mean, Jeff has written, 15, 16 books in a series. That's great. Others have too. So I'm not dismissing them. I'm just saying for me, that's where I'm like, hey, let's just do something new. And so, yeah, I think the agreement was, let's try 3. If everybody loves them and wants us to keep going, we'll do another 3. If they don't, and they're like, hey, Hopper, Chaney, cut it out, I'll do something else.
Right on. Right on. What are you working on today?
Today will be Ruins of the Galaxy Book 2. I'm starting Ruins of the Earth. Oh my goodness. Note to everybody who tries to name things a little too closely. Book 2 of Ruins of the Earth, which is Gods and Men, launching into chapter 6 today. So.
Right on. Very cool. Hey, thank you very much for coming out today. We really appreciate it.
It's great. Thank you for having me, Walt. It's a
now,
pleasure.
If people want to stalk you on the internet, what's the best way to do it?
If they like websites, ChristopherHopper.com or ruinsofthegalaxy.com. If they like social media, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So.
Right on. Dean Floyd, coming out of Facebook, had a quick question. How did you hit the ground running and go from no books to a 9-book series? Any tips for writing series?
Oh, man, that was a great question from a great guy. Thank you, Dean. I write like it's my full-time job, and I that's a little tongue-in-cheek. It is my full-time job, but I think there's something that happens in our heads when it moves from being a hobby to the lifeblood of my family. I have 4 kids to feed. I have a mortgage to pay. I have car insurance. I have life insurance. All those things, and so that lit a fire under my butt. And to put it in PG terms, that class in Watertown, New York, watching this morning can have and handle, right? And so that for me just became this thing where I need to write to survive. Granted, I love writing and I can write very quickly. I think that would be the second thing I would say after having the right motivation is work on your words per minute or your words per hour count. And I think some people naturally write faster than others, so there might be some inhibitors there. But for the most part, if you can get your speed up, you can put out more words and you can write more books more quickly. The last thing I'll say is partnerships. People have asked me, why don't you just do it yourself? Because I love partnerships. They help me do more and reach more people. And I'm working with a team who are more skilled in their various areas of interest than I am. And so I don't necessarily want to right now know all the ins and outs of Facebook and Amazon ads. I want somebody else to do that and let them be an expert at it. For me right now, and it's just maybe the season of life I'm in, I want to be an expert writer. If I need to learn the other tools of the trade, so bring it on. But at the moment, I just want to spend the most of my time writing or reading about tradecraft. And so that's what I do. So a couple tips there. Hope that helps.
Just saying U.S. Navy. OTF, red shirt tails are coming.
All right. Thank you, Gary. Appreciate that.
But of course, OTF coming out of book one. The
Yes.
saying.
Yeah, yeah, and this was actually it came out of its origin story is in book one. Came in Ruins of the Galaxy and follows in the tradition of KTF. But even before KTF was Jocko Willink, Navy SEAL with Big Tough Frogman and an
Big
old
tough
Navy
frog, man.
SEAL. Yeah, acronym. Which I don't know if a lot of people, even Galaxy's Edge fans, realize that these acronyms. Go back a ways, and so they've been around the service for a long time. And so anyway,
Oh
just
yeah.
kind of tapping that theme. Actually, this was cool. We did put a little shout out in Ruins of the Earth book one. Got permission from Jason and Nick on this, which was a lot of fun. But Wick has a morale patch on his kit after he's in retirement, and it is a KTF patch.
That's
So I
pretty
thought
cool.
that was pretty fun.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm an RLTW guy, but I don't judge.
All right.
Just a quick reminder: we want to let everybody know that Keystroke Medium is more than just me spewing coffee and doing funny accents online. So we have Josh, Scott, and Chuck on Mondays, Keystroke Medium Live, where they either go roundtable discussions or chase down really interesting people to talk to. And that's usually Monday, right around 11 a.m. Eastern time. Of course, us 7:30 on a Tuesday morning. Coffee and Concepts with Christopher Hopper, who will undoubtedly be a reoccurring guest now because I have to change my beard game. And then the Writer's Journey on Thursday nights with Lauren and Kayleen, kind of giving giving back to the community, both readers and writers, digging into those interesting concepts that make both those communities better. Josh Gayu, long form storytelling on YouTube. And you can tell that the coffee is wearing off because my speech is starting to slur a little bit. But Josh Gayu, long form storytelling on YouTube, where they dig in deep into the matters and dissect a topic from all angles. Chris, thanks you so much for coming out. And could I bribe you with maybe more coffee to get you when you launch book 2? Come back
Absolutely.
and talk us up.
I'd love it.
Right on. So on behalf of some readers, the writers, and everybody in between, this has been Keystroke Medium's Coffee and Concepts, and we're out of here.